Hey, what's up? Dave with Brazos Valley Strength. I wanted to make a quick intro to this video because I know it's going to turn out to be a little bit different than what a lot of my other block review videos are. My plan was just to do a voiceover of this week, and I ended up being significantly stronger than I really thought I was going to be. And that kind of raised a lot of questions in my mind. And I had more to say than I ended up thinking that I would. So the video is going to be cut up. I'm going to have a lot of my reviews after some of the sessions instead of voiceovers during the sessions. There'll be voiceovers throughout. But I'll try to have bookmarks so that you can skip around if you just want to see the footage or you want to hear my thoughts. But I certainly learned a whole lot from this block. I think a lot of the things that I said in my intro to this block ended up holding true. And I think a lot of my plan from this block ended up creating a really good situation for what I'm going to do moving forward. So I would certainly suggest listening to some of the things that I say, because I think this block raised a lot of questions in my mind as far as really why I was successful as I was. But ultimately, I had a lot of fun. Hopefully you'll have some fun watching the video, and hopefully you'll learn some stuff too. So as you can see by the label here calling this day 1A, this is a day that historically I've always done as a full day, this day and the squats on the next day. But I've struggled historically to have a good bench press day after some of those heavy squats, especially as I've tried to do more low bar squatting. So this day I've pushed up a day, and I think consistently going forward, I'm going to make this I'm just going to be training 6 days a week to help out my bench press on this day. And I think it really did pay off this block overall. I benched way better, really feeling like I could have 2 actually good bench press days a week was something that I think really helped and just allowed me to do a little bit more work overall. So I think my plan moving forward and what I did this block was to make this a top single, but keep it a little bit lighter, kind of set myself up for some stuff later in the week, but really emphasize the rep work behind it. So I think this day I did a single with 180 kilos, so like 396 pounds, and actually moved really well for what I wouldn't consider a primary bench press day. So this is actually just usually a round kind of opener range at competitions for me. So this moving really nicely. This is pretty fine. But I think the main quality work just came from being able to be really comfortable and relaxed with the 5x5 that I did on this day. So I'm going to keep up the kind of higher volume work, moderate intensity, just being able to really kind of find a flow with my bench press and continue to emphasize my confidence and kind of allow even a little bit more hypertrophy work on this day overall. Okay, so I'm filming this the day after squatting yesterday. Was planning on just doing a voiceover of all of that, but I guess just realizing I only had one squat set and then the accessories probably go pretty fast. Figured I didn't want to disrupt the footage of the really big squat session and probably have more that I want to say that may be more relevant right now. I don't know what's going to happen the rest of the week with the squatting, so I figured maybe early in the video, while I still have more people here, would be a better place to talk about kind of conceptually what I really have realized during this block, and I think some other thoughts that I have, like questions that I'm asking for myself. So this block was a little bit of an experiment. Heading into the Virginia Pro, I really wasn't able to do belt squats a whole lot, or really a bunch of squat volume, kind of volume in general, lower body volume. My knee was too beat up, both knees really. And so this block, after feeling a whole lot healthier, I wanted to give myself an opportunity to do more lower body volumes, like belt squat volumes specifically, because I don't tolerate a lot of squat volume overall very well. I would say that mostly it's an upper body issue. Heavy low bar squats tend to really beat me up top, really affecting my bench press and generally affecting my squat. So I wanted to lean into intensity and practice with the low bar squats on both days and allow more low, I guess, volume from the belt squat that hopefully wouldn't beat me up very much. And I think, I guess at this point I'm almost, I'm torn about what happened here, because my day one squat, day 1B, I guess, in the video, ended up being exceptionally strong, significantly stronger than I would really expect it to be. And so, I think I can look at it and say, okay, so at the end of the week, I'm just doing those 3 sets. It's not particularly hard, to recover from that and some like RDLs and stuff. So it makes sense. I feel good coming back around. And I think conceptually, I'm going to stick with this model and make my first day my heaviest squat day, my primary squat day, with the plan of just doing one top set focused on intensity and then belt squat volume behind it. And so I think my bias would kind of lean me towards saying, well, cool, you see, a bit lower volume, being able to give yourself a little bit more intensity really made this show up. And I think, having the belt squat volume, really it's 2 good belt squat volume days per week, including day 3, the deadlift day. It really ended up paying off by pushing more intensity and less volume. And I think after reflecting on it a little bit, I think I almost feel the opposite, is that I wasn't doing a lot of volume heading into the Virginia Pro, and that I am now doing significantly more squat reps and squat volume than I would otherwise, right? I'm doing just the one hard set of the competition squats on day 1B, whatever, the set of 5, and then following it with 4 pretty difficult sets of belt squats that I think if I organized that day differently, I wouldn't be pushing those quite so hard. And I think sometimes the quality might suffer, or just kind of general, intensity and volume there. And then how I designed this block with day 3 on the deadlift day, doing the belt squats first, almost provided me an extra squat day with volume. So I think I'm kind of playing devil's advocate for myself and kind of looking at what made this block really successful, specifically with squats. And I might say volume. On the other side of that, I would be curious if I cut out, let's say, half of the belt squat volume. I think intuitively, I think that probably the results would have been pretty similar. I tried to create a situation to where I was very practiced with squat reps, even with only 4 total sets per week. I've been doing more reps during warm-ups, and kind of, instead of a bunch of singles on the way, I'm doing doubles and triples, and I think that has helped. So I've put a lot of things into play that I think I'm a little bit torn on what I really think happened. And I think that's the point, right? I think that's the point of why I wanted to make this structure video right here, rather than doing a voiceover, is I think I can look at it and say, well, you see, going really hard there and just pushing belt squats was something that really created a really good scenario. But I think the big thing right now is I don't know necessarily. I'm not really sure. I have an idea. I have a concept in my head. I haven't written my next block yet, but I have a concept of what I really kind of think I'm wanting to take from this one and, develop and move into the next one. But I'm genuinely curious whether volume is the answer. Like if I was somebody who tolerated squat volume better, if I would have done the same structure, a top set of hard 5 or whatever, and then 4 sets of 8 or 3 sets of 8, low bar squats, as long as I felt similarly after the belt squats versus the low bar squats, if I tolerated them better, would that have been just as productive for me or somebody else? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And so I think the point here is that when we find success, if you're somebody who's actually following these programs along with me, you have success or you don't have success. I think that whether you do or don't is not really the question. I think the whys are really the question. And so I'm coming away from this very excited. I mean, 300 kilos for a set of 5 is something, it's an incredible milestone for me. I think I squatted 300 kilos. I think I squatted 300 kilos in a meet for the first time like 2 years ago. It's just been rare that I could get that high. I mean, it's very recent that I could hit it in consistently block to block. Like I would hit it for 1 or 2 singles throughout a block just recently, and now taking it for 3 triples last week and a set of 5 this week. Obviously I've gotten significantly stronger. I think despite progress, for anybody, whether you're making progress or not, I think it's critical to be constantly looking for reasons why that's happening and even looking at like potential timing and is this just a success because of stuff I did before it and all those kind of things. They're just kind of interesting questions, and that's kind of where my mind is at. But anyway, I definitely feel like I've landed on something very, very good. Definitely going to continue to push this structure in future blocks kind of moving forward. But if you're somebody that's following the program, I think maybe you might try doing the back down volume that I have with actual squats. If you're somebody that tolerates squats better, and maybe send me a message and see if it's been working out okay for you. So anyway, I'm about to do kind of the light upper body day. I probably won't have a bunch of comments on this session. Probably come back to the voiceovers when I get to the deadlift day. If you don't hear from me on that deadlift day doing a voiceover, then I probably am going to pull something big. I have something in my head. We'll see. So if I do a recording afterwards, obviously it would be a good session. If you hear my voice, then it ends up being an average session. But anyway, yeah, think critically, right? Or if you have a coach, I think these are the questions that you and your coach should be thinking about and talking about, really kind of looking for the reasons behind the success or lack thereof. So as is tradition on this day 2 bench press day after the heavier squats from day 1, it was predictably pretty horrible, especially this last week. It actually was noticeably worse than previous day 2s. And I think that that's one of my main points here is that I actually ended up benching extremely well this week overall. My days 1 and my days 3, those were the days that I really would expect my better bench presses, and it certainly showed up that way. And this day is a day that I really don't expect a lot from myself. And I think talking to people, this is something that I'd say on average people don't do a good job of, is that they, even on a day that they expect to not be training their best, if they have a day that really does not feel very good, for some reason they panic and they say, well, there goes my whole week. But this day was the worst day on day 2 that I had the entire block, but ultimately ended up showing major success later in the week and one of the best bench press days of the block. So I think that people just need to do a better job of being willing to have those fluctuations and not panic when a day early in the week, or whatever day in the week, is just not what not what you would expect it to be. Or in this case, it was what I would expect it to be, but that was just a bad day. So anyway, I think moving forward that I'm going to keep this structure pretty similar, not have too much stuff that's really high intensity, but actually allow myself to do more of this kind of bodybuilding work here, kind of some fun accessories, shift more of the bodybuilding stuff that I currently have on day 1 to this day 2, because I think this is a good spot, because I'm not going to really be able to push bench press much, and some accessories like these weighted push-ups I've been enjoying a good bit. Okay, so just finished deadlifting, and maybe spoilers by there not being a voiceover, as I said the other day. But obviously a really big session. I mean, 390 is what I pulled, so 860 pounds. I think my best in a competition, 373. I don't even know how much that is in pounds. But this is one of those blocks that I think I kind of come away with more questions than answers after this. For deadlift in particular, you know, I think some of what I was thinking, I mean, I guess I had a good bit of questions on the squats too. But yeah, like 390 is not something that I don't think that I have been capable of before. You know, I nearly pulled 383 at last year's nationals. That was, I mean, 23 kilos above. I had pulled 365, so I don't know, about 20 kilos heavier than anything else I had ever pulled before. You know, 373 was pretty easy at the Virginia Pro just now, coming off of basically only 2 deadlift days heading into that competition. So I don't feel like this right now, you know, was necessarily a product of this block. You know, I've been doing these high reps. The heaviest single that I did this whole block was 330. I just wasn't really treating the singles as singles. I was just doing warm-ups. Last week I did 340 kilos for a set of 6. So that was, you know, huge. But I think all these numbers have been things that I could have done before, right? So like this 390 was obviously really big, but I'm not looking at it as something that was necessarily a product of this block. But I think I have landed on a bunch of good stuff just recently, like the Virginia Pro stuff. I've been saying it a lot, kind of almost beating it to death, about how much I think that the stiff leg deadlifts and like just more direct hinge work has been something that has really helped my deadlift overall, that I found because my knee was hurting. So, you know, that's been a big product of this block. And I even felt like last week when I did the 340 for 6, it was almost easier than 320, so 20 kilos heavier the week before, just as my back was getting stronger. I don't feel like I'm, you know, losing position off the floor, and obviously 390, you know, executed it here. So, you know, maybe just as a, to throw it out there. Yeah, I mean, of course I'm using straps here. I have that video on straps. I just trust it. Like, I have to pull it in a competition for it to be real, but I always match, if not exceed, the stuff that I'm pulling with straps at competition. So I could not have done that without straps today. Like, there's no question about it. But if this training with straps allows me to get stronger and then I'm able to actually replicate that at competition, I don't care. I'll use straps. So I guess, you know, my questions moving forward about my deadlift are, you know, how to continue to get better. I mean, this block was really good. I do think the higher reps had value with my back strength, but I'm not sure that I need to be doing that if I'm doing the other, you know, really back dominant kind of hinge kind of stuff. So, you know, I'd like to have an opportunity to do some heavier non-strapped work, because I would not have been able to do that with the 6s this block. So, you know, a lot of things running through my head. I think that overall the concept that I've landed on obviously is really good. I mean, this was not a bad block whatsoever for my deadlift. So I'm probably going to move a little bit of a different direction, use some lower rep ranges, just go after a little bit more specificity, kind of testing that direction. I think this one was a good one to get me back in the groove and make sure my knees were feeling good. And I guess I have it in my back pocket now that I can use some of these higher reps, and it may work out pretty well. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I think that I wanted to do this one too, because there are questions here. I think that not just this deadlift day is what stood out to me. I think it's all the other things in this block that are really clicking, and I you know, maybe I'll continue using some high reps. But anyway, yeah, 390 is a humongous milestone. You know, I felt like I'd been within striking distance of 400 kilos for a while now, and obviously that is very much looking real. So hopefully be able to pull 390, 400 at nationals this year. So anyway, we'll move on to the rest of the training week. Hopefully I'll be able to get a bench press PR tomorrow, but we'll never know, or we won't know until tomorrow. So I guess I'll see you guys the rest of the video.
plafond.
Okay, so I am now finished with this block. I'm gonna try to make this little outro pretty short. I guess this is gonna be for day 4 and day 5, both a PR bench press and a PR triple on squats. I didn't include the conventional deadlifts that I did those, but the video is already too long. So anyway, I guess I wanted to wrap this up with some final thoughts on the block as a whole, stuff that I'm walking away with for squat, bench, and deadlift, pretty much as concisely as I can here. So I think that the biggest thing overall here is that I'm just healthy now. I've talked before about how a lot of last year I had some pec injuries. That was obviously impacting my bench press. There were many times I felt like I was getting stronger and I couldn't represent it. And then heading into the Virginia Pro, I had that knee issue kind of pop up. I was getting very, very strong before that. I did a pause squat with 330 kilos, so like 725 pounds or something. So, even the squat today wasn't something that I felt like was outside of, the realm of possibilities before us. But this was a very, very successful block and, ultimately kind of back on track and huge building as far as confidence and everything. So as far as my main takeaways from every lift, I think what I'm walking away with is that my squat really benefited from intensity, from me getting comfortable working hard. Like that first rep of 320 for the triple was very challenging, right? I potentially would have rated that one, I don't know, maybe close to a 9 normally, but like my comfort with difficulty now is so much higher from the block as a whole. After the first rep, I just knew I could do another one, and the second one wasn't that much harder, so I just knew I could do a third. And my squat, I think, has really grown from that, but grown from the belt squats and, just being healthy, really. So I'm going to continue to do similar things moving forward, more harder reps, just getting comfortable with that difficulty, not trying to be super explosive, not trying to, create like big highlight reels in general training, because it showed up here at the highlight reel in the end of the block. Obviously super crazy. And but just putting in lots of work and just being willing to be uncomfortable, being comfortable getting uncomfortable, and just doing difficult reps. So that's my big takeaway there. And I'd say ultimately the same thing for the deadlift is not pushing, not feeling like I have to hit singles, and that's for squats too. With both of them, just feeling like I'm doing work and putting myself in a position to train, and not feeling too often like I have to be representing that. And I know that's something that I've been caught at times, writing programming to like make sure my top end is there more often. I preach it to people I coach all the time. You don't have to be strong all the time to be getting stronger. And I think that that's clearly my main takeaway for both squats and deadlifts this block was just, willingness to work. A lot of that back work, hip extension stuff, I think hinge stuff went a really, really long way. So that's the stuff I'm going to keep doing. Just work, grinding, not trying to push too much at the top end. And bench press, ultimately, it was just about being healthy. I did a lot of overhead pressing this block. I don't know. I don't know if that directly helped. Maybe. For sure, removing some of the stuff that I think was really messing with my pecs helped a lot. So I'm going to try to add in a little bit more horizontal pressing work in the next one, but making sure that it's keeping my pecs in mind with that, and not feeling like I have to go super hard on my bench press. The heaviest bench I did this block was 190. I think I hit that twice, and then I benched 205, which that one, I don't know, that may be the most meaningful of all the PRs I hit, because I think I hit 200 for the first time, over 2 years ago, and obviously some big frustrations there. So hitting 205 here really makes me feel like I have a lot more there. If I can bench press 210, 215 would be incredible, but 205 is 15 kilos more than I benched at the Virginia Pro. 15 more kilos on my total, I'm already at 2,000 pounds without doing anything better on squats or deadlifts. So anything that I can get on my bench press really, really changes the game as far as, what my total can be. So yeah, I'm pumped. I feel like, obviously I feel like I'm back on track as far as my training. I'm leaving this block incredibly excited about what I can do this year. Plenty of time before nationals. Yeah, all good stuff. But yeah, I think ultimately it's just like being willing to work. and not chasing big PRs, kind of investing in the process more than like the outcomes more often. So anyway, yeah, I know this video ended up being super long. I'll be making a video probably in 2 weeks. I'm going to do a little deload this coming week. So 2 or 3 weeks from now, I'll be introducing my next block. So that video hopefully will be a little bit shorter and flow a little bit more smoothly. And I'll talk about what my plans are for that one. So you can look for that hopefully up on the website here pretty soon. When that's available. So anyway, as always, I appreciate everybody's support. If you want to support me directly, all of the links in the description, those do support me directly, anything that you purchase there. So go ahead and check those brands out. But anyway, if you did like the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.